take this up, because this is not an issue that the council's unaware of. It's not an issue where we don't have some concerns, and we have been in fact talking to staff about how we're going to engage as a city. This is obviously Puget Sound Energy's project, but we have a role, and so we wanted to talk about that a little bit here tonight. And I understand Councilmember Chelmanak has some thoughts about how to proceed, and so I thought I would call on you.
Okay, thank you. There, as with all of processes like this, and I'm going to apologize. I'm going to ignore you so I can talk into the microphone. So it is not. It's not meant to be rude to you. So, with all projects like this and processes, it generally creates more questions than it creates answers, in particular in the early stages. And I think we heard some very good testimony tonight. We do have, I think, Puget Sound Energy scheduled to come in. Is it next week, yes, Mr. City Manager? Yes. To come in and talk with us, give us an update. I think it is clear to me that we need much more than that. The first thing that I have been thinking about as the letters have been pouring in is, what will the city say about this? We have a role to play in this process. The first role that we have to play is regarding city facilities. So how do either of these two routes affect city facilities? And then how do we provide that feedback into this process? The second, in my mind, is how does this affect, and I'm speaking now just simply to the two routes that are on the table at the moment, but there could be more. How does that affect, what is the effect these have on city policies? And that's more than just electrical. It could be transportation policies. It could be utility policies, because this might, the lines might share space with utilities. It could be transportation in the case of trails that could be built along these. And as I understand, one of the routes uses the BNSF. So we need to have a process to figure out how the city is going to provide its input. One of those will be listening to people, and I'd like to suggest something about that in just a moment. The other part is, what is the UTC's role in this? And a little bit of it is answering questions about how did we get to this point. So I would like to see if we could get someone from the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission to come here and present some issues that have been raised that I think may or may not directly fall into their impact. But why is this project needed? Maybe the UTC isn't the right one to report on that. But how is this project paid for? I don't believe the UTC decides on the routes. I think they stay completely out of that. But I think the question has been raised regarding undergrounding. I still have questions, and I have not. I've asked staff a number of times, if we were to underground, who pays for that? Is it the entire city? Is it the entire rate base of PSE? Is it a subset of people who live near the line? So if that were a reality that people have been talking about, who pays for it? And I do believe the UTC can answer that particular question. We have, I believe it is 6 residents who are on the citizen advisory groups. I think it would be good to hear from those 6 citizens about what they think the process is going, and then potentially to work with our neighborhood groups to and our Department of our neighborhoods folks to assist in maybe putting together a group of panels that would present to us what they see as the issues related to their particular neighborhood by these routes. I would like to see what other routes have been studied. So I'd like staff to get to those answers. I think it's also important for a good explanation to the citizens of what the city's role is. As I understand, the potential is it could eventually, not the full siting decision, but aspects of the siting decision